Hello and welcome to Berlin's 96 localities. I am today in Neu-Hohenschönhausen. That is a complicated name, a tongue twister, and we will talk about the name a little later. The whole locality is a Planviertel, so all of the buildings here were erected from the 1980s on. Within a few years, many apartments were built. There was a program in the GDR times, so not much old history today. But, well, let's see what happened in the last 45 years or so.
Overview. Neu-Hohenschönhausen is located in the northeast of the city. The distance to Berlin main station is approximately 12 kilometers or 45 minutes by public transport. Administratively, Neu-Hohenschönhausen is part of the district of Lichtenberg. Neu-Hohenschönhausen has a population of about 59,200. It is one of the smaller localities of the city by size, but populated quite densely. You can split the locality in several neighborhoods, as I pointed out on this map. Note that the locality has got 3 train stations: Gehrenseestraße, Hohenschönhausen and Wartenberg, despite Wartenberg being an adjacent locality of its own.
I'm close to Gehrenseestraße. This is at the western or southwestern border of the locality, and this road here is currently closed for maintenance. There is some road work going on, and this makes it possible for me to stand here. Otherwise there would probably be many cars here. Here's a little park that I will walk through now, and then I should come to the residential area with all these houses built in the 1980s. Let's go.
The name and the origins. Let's start simple. It will become more complicated in a second anyway. Today there are 2 localities that bear the name Hohenschönhausen: Neu-Hohenschönhausen in the north and Alt-Hohenschönhausen in the south. The prefix Neu means new, and indeed, Neu-Hohenschönhausen is the newer locality of those 2. A bit more than 100 years ago, the situation was completely different. Hohenschönhausen, with no prefix at all, was just a small village outside of the city of Berlin. Note that there was a smaller part named Neu-Hohenschönhausen quite nearby. It has nothing to do with today's Neu-Hohenschönhausen though. In 1920, Hohenschönhausen became a part of the city of Berlin, more specifically part of the district of Weißensee. It grew quickly, becoming a real urban quarter within a couple of decades. Neu-Hohenschönhausen was also still around, but again has nothing to do with today's one. Unfortunately, I couldn't get a higher resoluted map of the area of that time. Maybe you can see that grid pattern in the north of Hohenschönhausen. It marks lot of septic drain fields that were vital for cleaning parts of the big city's wastewater. From 1968 on, in Falkenberg, a treatment plant was operating, making the septic drain fields obsolete. In 1973, the GDR announced another program to build many new apartments. One of the main locations was the area of the former septic drain fields, close to Hohenschönhausen. The building project in that area got the name Hohenschönhausen, and later, for disambiguation reasons, Hohenschönhausen Nord, Nord meaning north, referring to the location north of the existing quarter. Construction started in the 1980s. In 1985, both the old part of Hohenschönhausen and parts of Falkenberg, Wartenberg and Malchow were put under the roof of a new district, the district of Hohenschönhausen. In 1989 the wall turned down, and in 1990 both Germanys were reunited. In 2001 the district of Hohenschönhausen was merged with the district of Lichtenberg, temporarily as Lichtenberg-Hohenschönhausen, soon just as Lichtenberg. The existing locality of Hohenschönhausen became Alt-Hohenschönhausen, and a new locality which covers pretty much the area of Hohenschönhausen Nord was formed by taking parts from the existing localities Wartenberg, Falkenberg and Malchow and giving this new locality the name Neu-Hohenschönhausen. Falkenberger Krugwiesen.
So yeah, using a road like this, which is closed for maintenance reasons, it's quite interesting. Every now and then a car pops up in the distance, but maybe they're not aware that the road is closed at the end. Or maybe this is the police, I don't know. And yeah, it's actually the police. Well, I will walk through this little park, which of course now in this time of the year isn't too appealing. It's quite chilly today, a little below zero. But well, maybe we can find something interesting in there. Okay, so the police turned around. Probably they are just doing what they have to do. And on the other side, it's quite foggy today, so you can't see much of it, but in the background you can also see parts of other localities. I think that might be Marzahn over there, which is quite similar. It was also built in the 70s and 80s here at the outer skirts of Berlin Ost. So here's the entrance to the park, and unfortunately some people thought it would be a good idea to get rid of their waste. That's some furniture. Oh man, that is really ugly. Yeah, for the first time in the background you can see those houses, those apartment houses, and I'm trying to get there, but well, there's a small one over here, small path. Yeah, I will follow this and try not to get ripped by the plants on the left. They're a bit spiky, I think. Some berries maybe. So here's some information on this park that I've just passed through. Unfortunately, well, you can't read much. The name is Falkenberger Krugwiesen, and it says that in the future it should be a habitat for even more animals and plants, and should be also for recreation of the population of the residents here. And then there's some detailed information, but well, you can't see much. So time for me to proceed on my tour. I'm passing by a kind of playground, I think, adventure playground. It's called Fort Robinson. And well, what is quite sad is there was information at the entrance that it is currently closed. There has been an outbreak of a disease that is dangerous for animals, and so to protect these animals, also like the zoo, this one's closed for now. And yeah, so the animals are on their own. I mean, they are taken care of course, but currently it's not possible to visit them. There are some small windows here on the outside, so for the kids they can at least throw a little glimpse on the animals.
First impressions from the residential area.
Yeah, so just a few steps away from this green area, I am now in the center of a part of the locality. I read that it is pretty much split into 4 parts, but all those 4 parts are quite similar. Here, this road is Vincent van Gogh Straße, and well, you can see the typical architecture from the 1980s. And what I think is interesting is that it took them just about 5 years to complete the whole project here, the whole building project. But these days it would be impossible to do anything similar, not even near. They probably built 10,000s of apartments in a time span, and these days it would take decades, I suppose. Now this is also very typical. This is a gym that was also constructed in the 1980s. Small roof, small size, but the idea was to have short distances for the people that were living here, and especially the kids. So everything should be nearby, like kindergartens, schools, gyms, also possibilities to do some shopping. And yeah, then they had these large complexes with apartments, and the benefit is that you have a lot of light, which was the opposite idea to the housing in the first half or the early 20th century, let's say, where you had these dark and narrow, flatter buildings in the center. And yeah, I mean, maybe they don't look too nice, but that's a matter of taste, I guess. Well, I grabbed me a coffee to warm up a little bit. It's still sub-zero and the hands were getting a little cold, but that of course is not so interesting for you. What is more interesting is that I realized that all these houses are slightly different. They look quite similar, but there are different types, and I will show you a few photos, a bit footage from those different types of buildings. I guess it was due to what material they got, which year, and also they probably wanted to make them look slightly different from each other, so not everything looks exactly the same. And then what I also realized, and I read also before, is that in between those larger streets, the smaller streets, they have names coming from villages from the whole country. This is in honor of the builders that were building here for several years. Those houses, they were coming from different parts of the country, and to honor the areas where they are from, those streets got these names. And a few years ago I talked to one of those builders, and he told me that every morning he was getting up really early at like 4 a.m., traveling for 2 to 3 hours to Berlin, building the whole day and getting back late in the evening. And this was his life for some time, and this is probably one of the reasons why they were able to build up this large amount of apartment blocks in such a short time.
Built from scratch. Neu-Hohenschönhausen, or Hohenschönhausen Nord as it was called at the time of construction, wasn't the only quarter to be built from scratch, but the size of approximately 30,000 apartments that were finished in just 5 years is impressive. It wasn't just the apartment buildings, it was also infrastructure like tracks and roads, multi-purpose buildings and playgrounds. Of course, they weren't all built at the same time. Thus, the people who moved in first lived right next to an enormous construction site for years. The new quarter became home to people from all over the city and all over the country. Modern flats were much needed, and despite the ongoing construction, they were very welcome for many of the new residents. Fascination for murals.
What is quite nice is that they have some murals every now and here. every here and there. Well, here for example you have a mural, quite big. This one shows, well, I don't know, some abstract shapes, I guess. That was initialized by the owner of this housing complex, which is a housing society. So new times, yeah. Well, you can judge by yourself what you can see here, but I think this is really valuable for getting this area a bit nicer, a bit brighter. And it's getting more and more foggy, actually. This is also an old building, quite different shape, but not for housing. So I don't know what is in there. And we're getting to a bigger road now. Oh yeah, and here you can see those typical old, smaller shops and smaller offices, which are a bit outdated, I guess. But, well, maybe they will have some new life, and I think, well, probably some of them are abandoned, or maybe not. Well, it doesn't look too bad, actually. So here's some hairdresser, and this is maybe for kids. Oh, no, it's a kita, so kind of kindergarten. And then you have some small shops here, and in the front you have again those parking lots, and well, you can see more buildings in the background.
Lack of cultural landmarks.
Well, you may have wondered, are there any churches here? Or maybe you haven't, but in fact I spotted one of them over there. I will try to get to the other side, but I need to cross this tram line. So the cable cars, they are one of the public transportation options over here. So yeah, I will try to get to the other side. But what I also realized is there are little cultural landmarks. I think I saw 2 sculptures by now, but that's pretty much it. And this was not so important. And also the church, I mean, you can already see that it is a really modern architecture, and maybe I can find some more information over there. Well, I'm now at the other side of the church, and I couldn't find out much. It's an evangelic church, and it belongs to the district, or the church district of Wartenberg. The tower probably older than the rest. Can't say much about it. Well, it doesn't look like a typical church. What is also interesting here, there are some nice murals in the front, again, like a sun, and these are some stones. And this is a small garden here, a small gardening project. The sign says that die HOVOG unterstützt das Gartenprojekt. So the housing society supports this gardening project. And then if I turn around, here's a party room that you can rent. Then there is a dancing school. And over there, some more small shops, a pharmacy, there is a fast food restaurant, and then there are also some doctors. Yeah, and you can see that the lights are getting switched on as it's getting darker, and I think I have maybe half an hour left before it's pitch dark.
The end.
I have arrived at S Wartenberg, and this is the end of the tour. I will go back to the center now with the S-Bahn. I hope you liked this tour. I did. I think there were some interesting things to see and to get an idea of a neighborhood that I have never been at before. I would love to leave you a comment to give me some critique on what I could do better or what you liked. And yeah, we will maybe see each other again in another episode soon. Take care. Cheers.